and definitely felt in our daily lives with many things such as, wearing a mask when you go out or social distancing measures. However, the more inconvenient effects lie with the job market, and it's becoming a very big obstacle for the fresh grads and graduating students from institutes of higher learning. But fret not, this webinar will present macro insights on your career search sentiments, market trends, and point you towards helpful career learning resources. So next, I'll be talking more about the survey. And this survey is actually one of the cornerstones of our project, as it helped to give a more realistic and relatable direction so that we can help the fresh grads and graduating students more effectively. It was carried out from June 2020 to July 2020, and it focused on the autonomous universities and polytechnics in Singapore. To those who participated in the survey, thank you very much. The team and I would really like to thank you because you helped us better understand the situation that's happening on the ground. We have read all 728 responses, and it helped us sieve out key sentiments that we shall present, such as how confident you are in terms of the job market and securing a job, and how and why should you be concerned with skills development. With 67.1% of you experiencing anxiousness towards job seeking and securing a job, we want to assure you that this survey has also helped us answer some key questions on how to help you better and more effective resources for you in the future. So let's go right into the survey sentiments. The first thing we'll be talking about would be the pessimism towards the job market, which almost 70% of you have reflected in the survey. And out of all the responses, we received 356 statements that specifically pointed out certain sentiments which will help streamline what are your top 3 concerns. So there are things like company hiring freezes, the job market being more competitive, and also positive and negative impacts on specific industries. As for the 30% who were a bit more positive about the job market, this was mostly due to them being in industries that were flourishing, such as healthcare and biomedical engineering. But don't worry if you're not gearing towards those industries, because we'll actually be talking about other flourishing industries in the next few segments and how you can take advantage of this shift in the job market. So the next one will be how COVID-19 has impacted specifically the job search process for you. So out of the 312 feedback statements that we got, these are the top 3 sentiments. So we have things like cancelled internship job offers, interview processes and offers being halted midway, or not being able to get interviewed. But I would like to really direct your attention towards the more positive experiences, because it actually encompasses fresh grads and graduating students who have found this to be a good time to learn to upskill themselves and become more employable in the long run. Just paraphrasing from one of the feedback that we got, which was how this girl actually took this time to take up more online courses to broaden her skill set and actually start an online business during this time. So it can be seen as a silver lining during this time. So which brings me to my next point on skills development and the importance of it. It was very heartening to know that 70.1% of all respondents are actively seeking out new skills during this time. And the opportunity and time to do so can be seen as a silver lining in this situation. For this, we focus on 2 main categories of skills for this survey. So there will be transferable skills, which are skills that can be transferred from one job to another. So you have things like communication skills and teamwork skills, and also technical skills such as which are skills that use specialized knowledge to perform a task efficiently. So you have things like your Python and your Java. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to which skill is better to learn as of now, because it really depends on the industry that you're going into. So, but we want to stress that the most important point is that you are embarking on this journey of upskilling, because these skills that you learn are going to benefit you even beyond this COVID-19 period. And we'll be actually sharing some resources on how you can navigate this later on in the webinar. But for now, I'll be passing my time to Joya, who'll be talking more on the project's industry insights and how to understand the job market better. Joya, please.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm Joya, and I'll be sharing about the industry insights. The impact of COVID-19 on Singapore's industrial landscape is undeniable, and to better understand this whole situation, it's important to first identify key trends that have especially impacted the way various industries operate. In relation to our focus on the job market, we can draw out 3 main trends that best reflect the changing landscape of the workforce. The first one is the greater adoption of digitalization and technological application. The second one is the technological research and innovation. The last one is alternative forms of work arrangement. These three trends have been adopted from the SSG Skills Development Group COVID-19 commentary. As most sectors in Singapore are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the team has sieved out 11 unique sectors to analyze. These sectors were chosen as they were the most affected by the pandemic, either positively or negatively. To analyze the job market impact on these industries, burning glass technology, BGT, was referenced. From BGT, we obtained the trend of the number of job postings which required 0 to 2 years of experience for each sector of concern for January 2020 to June 2020. From the trend line plotted, it's noted that most industries suffered once the circuit breaker took place in Singapore, which occurred in early April. It can be seen that job postings for most sectors saw a significant dip except healthcare and financial services from April to May 2020. Overall, there's a declining trend in job postings, but sectors like finance, information and communication technology, manufacturing, and education are still hiring. There are two key sectors that have contributed to the growth, and they are financial services and ICT and media sector, which will be shared by Sulin. The trend in financial services shows that there is a significant growth compared to other sectors. The strong performance of the sector was driven by strong growth in the banking and insurance segment. The sector continues to see strong growth because businesses are seeking more and more loans. If we look at the employment numbers in the first quarter of 2020, it shows an increase, which means that the industry is still hiring despite a decline in quarter one. Overall, the financial services continue to grow healthily, and there are still employment opportunities in this sector. For the financial sector, companies such as DBS Bank, OCBC, and Citibank are some examples of the top 5 hiring companies from April to the current date. Some of the junior level job roles that are hiring are accountant, auditor, and business consultants. Here we have listed out the top 5 skills for both transferable and technical skills. Visually, we can see that transferable skills are widely sought after in the finance industry for junior job roles. It does not mean that technical skills are not widely sought after, but it could be because the employers value graduates with core transferable skills such as communication, teamwork, collaboration, and Microsoft Excel. I will now pass the time over to Sulin, who shall share more about the ICT sector and also useful resources on how to improve your job search. Sulin, please.
Thank you, Joya. I am Sulin, and I will now continue on with the industry insights on the ICT and media sector. The industry experienced positive growth at 3.5% on a year-on-year basis. However, if we were to look at the growth on a quarter-on-quarter growth, the sector shrunk by 6.9%, reversing from the positive growth in the last quarter of 2019. However, growth in the industry is still being supported through the IT and information services segments of the industry. This is because there's an increased demand for digital and IT services by firms, especially during these times where work from home is the norm. As such, these sectors are expected to grow. Furthermore, the industry saw an increase in employment numbers in the first quarter of 2020, showing that the industry is still hiring despite the negative growth in the first quarter. Moving on, for the ICT and media sector, companies such as Singtel, ITCan, and Salesforce are the top 5 hiring companies from April to the current period. These are also some examples of junior level job roles in the industry. For instance, computer technicians and database administrators, which are required to help with the increased need for digital solutions during this period of time. Next, these are also some top 5 technical and transferable skills needed in the industry. Similar to the finance industry, transferable skills are still highly sought after in the ICT industry, even though this might be a more technical industry. This is because transferable skills are able to well complement the technical skills needed in this industry, as professionals in this field need to have both types of skills. Furthermore, it also can be seen that employers still look out for transferable skills much more than technical skills, especially for junior level job roles. To summarize the industry insights, it can be seen that for junior level job roles, employers tend to focus more on transferable skills as fresh graduates may not have as much experience yet to gain the depth of knowledge in technical skills. As such, this period of time provides the opportunity and time for youths like us to build up our critical transferable skills to improve our employability. Moving on, we will now be sharing on some useful resources for fresh graduates or graduating students to better equip themselves through these tough times. We will be sharing on what steps you can do now to improve your job search, as well as what platforms to tap on to gain valuable experiences. To start, let's have a quick poll. How many of you have a LinkedIn account? You may indicate your response under the poll tab. For those of you unaware of the platform, LinkedIn is a social network specifically designed for career and business professionals to connect. This is where anyone can build up their online portfolio and get to meet like-minded individuals in the industry. We'll now wait a while for you to respond. Yep, so far around 220 of you has responded. So we'll just give a little bit more time. Okay, so thank you for those that have responded. We will now end the polling and share your results. Yeah, so currently, as you can see, 85% of you have a LinkedIn account. So this is around 200 of the total participants today. So it is a good sign that most of you have a LinkedIn account. This is actually a great first step in establishing your online professional profile to engage and connect with professionals in the industry. So here at Skills Future Singapore, we actually strongly advocate the use of LinkedIn. As a student myself, I have actually connected with many HR and business professionals in the industry through LinkedIn. With this, it actually allowed me to expand my network and even improve my chances of getting an interview. So now, I will now be sharing on some steps you can take to build up your professional profile, especially for the youths listening in today. As youths, it may actually be very hard to take the first step to build up your professional profile, as we may not have much industry or work experiences. This is all right, as we all have to start from somewhere. So what we can do now is to list out any experiences, skills, or achievements we may have, no matter how small. Then we can start to build up our resume using the list that we have collated. Next, we can populate our LinkedIn profile to build up our online presence, as well as connect with like-minded individuals in the industry. A key important tip in improving the likelihood of landing an interview is to firstly ensure that your resume and cover letters are tailored to the job description of the role you're applying for. For example, you can highlight that you have good teamwork and communication skills when applying for a role in the finance industry. This can thus improve your chances of getting selected for an interview, as it may seem that you're more well fitted for the role. Lastly, don't be shy or afraid to seek out for help from professional career advisors or ECG counselors from your school, as they are there to help. With these steps, we hope that you can further improve and build up your professional profile. Next, here are also some online resources to help with resume building, job seeking, and skills upgrading. A resource to tap on for resume-related information is betalented.ai, where you can upload your resume and it will inform you of the skills that you have, the demand for these skills in the market, as well as what skills you may need to inculcate to meet market demand. Here are also some platforms for you to access for jobs-related information, like Indeed.com, mycareersfuture.sg, and even LinkedIn job alerts. Furthermore, There's also an upcoming Jobs and Skills Fair this weekend in conjunction with Skills Future Singapore that can help, that you can take part in for more resources. For more information on courses or workshops to build up your relevant skills, there are also free learning paths on LinkedIn to learn skills in demand, how to find jobs, as well as how to master soft skills. There is also a Skills Ignition Singapore initiative to train interested parties in digital skills by Google. Moving on, here are also some free courses provided by some universities to help undergraduates or fresh graduates upgrade their skills during these times. For other institutions not listed, you may check with your institution directly. Furthermore, these resources will be made available to you if you would request them by submitting our end of webinar survey. Now I'll pass the time to Workforce Singapore, who will elaborate on the SG United Traineeship Program. Thank you.
Hi, Banu. Are you okay? Banu is here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Banu from WSG, and today we'll be sharing with you on SG United Traineeships program so that you'll be able to understand the program better. Given the current economic climate, the SG United Traineeships program seeks to provide meaningful development opportunities to those that have recently graduated. With DPM's recent announcements, the goal for us is to get 21,000 traineeships to be created for this year. Through these traineeships, trainees would be able to develop their skills professionally, gain valuable industry-relevant experience, gain a firmer foothold in the job market during the economic recovery. These traineeships would be offered by host organizations. There will be positions available across both public and private sectors. All trainees would need to meet the following criteria. The traineeships would be offered to a maximum of 12 months, and trainings must commence by 31st December. There will be clear traineeship development plans for traineeships, and there will be a monthly stipend offered. For a training allowance would be provided to training on monthly basis, and it will adhere to the following rates based on the qualifications. The government will fund 80% of the training allowance. All trainees would need to meet the following criteria. They must be either a Singapore citizen or PR. They must have graduated or be graduating in 2019 or 2020 from ITE, polytechnics, universities, including local, private, and overseas universities. Those that have graduated earlier from the mentioned institutions and completed national service in 2019 or 2020 will also be eligible for this program. Next, we will cover on how graduates can apply for these traineeships. Graduates can go on to mycareersfuture.sg and search for traineeship vacancies under the hashtag SG United Traineeships. Then, graduates can then proceed to apply for traineeship vacancies through mycareersfuture.sg. Upon applying for the suitable traineeship vacancies, host organizations will then assess each application for suitability based on their own selection process. When the graduate is selected, they will then be onboarded as a trainee and sign on a traineeship agreement. This traineeship agreement will be signed between the host organization and the trainee. To date, there have been more than 6,000 traineeship positions posted on mycareersfuture.sg. We have also provided you a snapshot of the traineeship roles posted on mycareersfuture.sg. In addition to that, we have also provided you a snapshot of how the hashtag SG United Traineeship Vacancies should be searched under mycareersfuture.sg bar. We have provided a step-by-step video guide on how to apply for our SG United Traineeships program. One thing to note is that there is no employment relationship between the trainees and the host organization on SG United Traineeships program. As such, we have put in some safeguards. There will be a traineeship agreement that clearly states the monthly allowance and benefits offered by the host organization that will be signed by the trainee. The government will fully fund the workplace injury insurance for the trainee. Host organizations can choose to offer discretionary goodwill benefits that are non-monetary. Trainees can leave the program as long as they adhere to the termination notice as stated in the traineeship agreement. And our program manager, the Singapore Business Federation, will track the monthly training allowance that is being paid regularly to the trainees. If the trainee would like to flag any poor HR practices, they can do so via a phone call or email to our program manager. Lastly, if the host company would like to make any amendments to the traineeship plans, the trainee can actually ask for a notice to be sent in writing. With this, I've come to the end of my presentation. For attendees who would like to find out more on the SG United Traineeships program, feel free to reach out to us via the QR codes provided. Next, my colleague Siti from Skills Future Singapore will take you through the work study program, please.
Thanks, Banu, for the intro and the useful sharing on SG United Traineeships. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Siti and I'm from the Public Engagement Division of SSG. Okay, so while the control is passed on to me, I just wanted to say that I was quite heartened to hear Ashley's sharing earlier that 70.1% of the survey respondents indicated that they are actively seeking out new skills and want to upgrade and upskill themselves. So for those of you who want to do or who are thinking to do the same, you might want to tune in closely to my sharing on the work study program. So you might be thinking, what is the work study program? Well, as the name suggests, it is a program that enables graduates to get work experience and an education at the same time. Okay, the WSPs are offered by the Institutes of Higher Learnings and our appointed providers. So there are 5 types of WSPs currently as shown in my slide here. So there is the work study program and the work study post-diploma, which was formerly known as Earn and Learn program. I think some of you students, graduating students would have heard about the ELP. So these are for poly graduates. Then we have the work study diploma, which was formerly known as the work learn technical diploma. These are for fresh IT graduates. the work-study degree for fresh poly and JC students, graduates, and also the work-study certificate for fresh poly and ITE graduates. So you might be thinking, what is exactly fresh? So if you are within 3 years of graduation from the polys, ITEs, or JCs, or NS Men within 3 years of ORD, you can still apply for the program. Okay, so I have covered the what and the who. Now you may be thinking, why? Why should I consider WSP? So firstly, through this program, you will be able to develop new skills and knowledge and build on what you have acquired in school through a work-study arrangement. This will then allow for a head start in your career and also better career progression. There is also the sign of incentive of $5,000 for certain WSPs, and most importantly, you will be earning a salary of a full-time employee upon the commencement of the program. So you will be paid like a full-time staff. And then at the end of the program, you will be receiving an industry recognized certificate from the IHL or provider. For example, a specialist deep in network management, or a work study diploma in cybersecurity and forensics. Okay, so let me just try to move. Okay, sorry, Joya. Okay, all right, let me just move on to the next slide. Okay, furthermore, stats have shown that graduates will earn more if they take up a work-study program after graduating from Polytechnic, as opposed to those who go on straight to work or even take up a private degree. Okay, you can slowly read this quote by Min Ong here. Okay, so if you compare, taking a work-study program will take you half of duration of a private degree course, and also it is much more affordable. So why affordable? Because generally participants will not be required to pay any course fees for WSP, as this will be borne jointly by the government and employers. So that's good news for you. Okay, so the when and how is the program conducted? This slide shows you an overview of the duration of each of the WSP. So the program includes you being matched with a job related to your discipline of study, and you will undergo a 12 to 18 months structured training program depending on the program sector and job requirements. So for work-study diploma, as you can see here on my slide, and degree, it is a full-fledged 2.5 to 3 years program. Okay, you will have an assigned mentor at the workplace and enjoy a well-structured career progression pathway in line with the company's talent development plan. So like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the program, you will receive an industry recognized tip, you will get work experience, and also a potential wage progression or career advancement based on performance. Okay, and then we do get a lot of questions about bonds. Students want to know, will I be bonded? So generally, there is no bond imposed on the participants. However, for certain programs, employers may impose a bond due to the high cost of training. Okay, so if you want to find out more, you can log on to the My Skills Future portal to find out and register if you're interested to sign on the WSP or view the list of courses. So here is the QR code that you can scan. But actually, if I have a bit more time later, I can do a live demo for you on MySF, My Skills Future portal, and I will attempt to show you how you can find WSPs on sectors like finance, since these are the sectors that we are featuring in today's webinar, okay? All right, so moving on to my last slide. We are actually going to have a work-study fair coming up on Wednesday, 12 August. So you can join the virtual fair and connect with over 50 companies through live chats to find out more about the WSPs that they are offering in partnership with the IHLs. So there are other fun activities such as games and quizzes with attractive prizes to be won. Okay, all right, so now let me just quickly toggle to my SF. Okay, can you all see my screen? I hope you can. I think you can see my screen. Okay, so if you're already on my SF, please log in. Okay, I don't want to log in because later you can see how much SFC I have. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so please go to digital services on the head bar and then scroll down to apply for work study programs. This is where you can see the full list of work study programs. So you can actually search by programs or job role, sector or institution. So here I would like to point out that in case the keyword search don't work well for you, you can choose to click on this view all button. Okay, so let me just click it now. Okay, can you all see this view all button? All right, so what I'll attempt to do is, okay, you can see here that you can sort alphabetically by these fields. So I will sort by sector. Okay, by sector, and then since we are on the sector of ICT and finance, right? Let me just click this here for you to see. So what you can see here is you will see the name of the program and then the provider offering the program. So, and then you can click here to apply. So if there's no vacancy for this program, they will state, but you can always click here to apply, okay? So from what I know, there are actually 16 courses under ICT and finance. So please go in, have a look in the My Skills Future portal and explore, right? So this brings me to the end of my sharing. Please take the chance to explore my SF for the list of courses as well as attend the work study fair to find out more about WSP. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Siti. Yep, so we hope that you found the sharing useful. We first shared with you some of the resources that you can tap on to build your portfolio and improve your employability. And thereafter, we had Siti and Banu share on some of the potential pathway you can tap on. So now we'll move to the Q&A segment. You can use the Q&A function to type in your question. If you like anyone in particular to answer your question, you can indicate their name along with the question. So before we start off with the questions, I would like to introduce the panelists that will be joining us for the Q&A. We first have our 3 interns who did the sharing earlier, and together with them, we have Mr. Alvin Loh, who is the Head of Strategic Relations and Planning from the NUS Center for Future Ready Graduates. We also have Mr. Paul Tan, who is a lecturer at School of Life Skills and Communication, Singapore Polytechnic. And we also have Jen from Public Engagement Division together with Siti, as well as Mr. Chen Wei Liang, who is the Deputy Director at Workforce Singapore together with Banu. So we see a lot of questions coming in, so please do keep your questions coming. Okay, so we'll start off with the first question. The first question is addressed to Alvin. The question is, what should I do if I'm not so used to sharing my profile online? And how can I prepare a better resume? Can I write attending workshops as part of my resume? Or how will it make me more employable to hiring companies? So Alvin, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, sure, Fiona. So thank you to SSG for having me, and good afternoon to everyone here. Yeah, so thank you for the question. Yeah, the important thing to highlight in the CV is about things that you have done that can substantiate the skill sets that you have. So in terms of experiential learning, because as fresh graduates, you may not have a long track record of of applying technical skills or having prior jobs. So things like your internships, your CCAs, case competitions, hackathons that you may have taken part, or a portfolio that you may have designed. Let's say if you're into UI UX and you have actually done projects in that area to demonstrate your skill sets. So I think the important thing is to highlight the things that substantiate your value proposition to the employers. And so it might not suffice to just cite that you have attended workshops, but for example, if you completed certain certification, so that shows that you have gone through a certain grounding. And that's, I also want to dovetail with the SSG opportunities, the skills upgrading programs that are here. Because by undergoing some of these programs, you will also take on projects that you can then showcase your applied knowledge. So it's not just enough to say that you that you know that you have a certain you have a certain understanding or something, but you must have something to substantiate that. Yeah. So with a certification, with one of those the SSG programs, that could also substantiate it. And and apart from that, also the traineeships. I also want to highlight that, because what we encourage students is to still go for those full-time permanent jobs, still compete, because as you have seen from the presentation that not all sectors are hit equally. So there are still some growth sectors, and but even as you go for those, there is a safety net now of traineeships. And you should also explore those in terms of the learning outcomes that best fit your interests, but going with a mindset of looking at how you can value add, make an impact, and the growth mindset on what transferable skills you can learn, and also workplace traits, that you can't really learn that from a classroom. So these are the things that if you do well, you can not only just have the chance to be converted to a permanent headcount, if it arises, but at the very least, your supervisor could give you a testimonial letter or referral to a job opportunity elsewhere. So do seize these opportunities.
Thank you, Alvin. So the next question is for Sulin. You mentioned in your presentation that employers are on the lookout for transferable skill, right? Like Alvin mentioned. So how does it resonate with you, and how can we build such skills?
Thank you for the question. I'm Sulin. I'm one of the interns at Skills Future. So for me, I'm studying business analytics in NUS. So for me, this is a very technical field, and it's actually very heartening to see that employers are still looking out for transferable skills. Because for me, it takes a few years to actually gain the industry and work experience to have very high technical skills. So I feel that inculcating transferable skills as a fresh graduate is also important to show employers that we have the capacity to learn and contribute from the company. So some ways that we can build these skills is we can self-source for internships or do side projects besides those that we are currently having in our curriculum. So for me, I have actually done internships that are outside of my field of data science, such as HR. So like, why would I do this is because through these experiences, I can still pick up like transferable skills like communication and teamwork, which can be applied to multiple fields and jobs. So right now, given the current situation, I also feel that a good transferable skill to learn is also digital networking and communication skills, because most interview processes are going online. So a possible resource to tap on is LinkedIn Learning Paths, which I have shared earlier. So this is one platform that you can tap on to improve your transferable skills. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Sulin. So we received a few questions on whether the slides will be shared. So as mentioned earlier at the start of the webinar, we'll be sharing the webinar link as well as some of the resources shared by Siti and Banu via email after this webinar. And we have quite a lot of questions coming in, so we might not be able to answer them all, but we'll try our best to answer as many as we can, okay? So the next question is for Paul. There are two specific questions in particular. The first one is, what should I do if I'm not so used to sharing my resume online or my portfolio online? And also, what advice would you give to polytechnic students in considering whether to go for the traditional university route or the work-study program route?
Okay, hi, my name is Paul. I'm actually a lecturer with the School of Life Skills and Communication in Singapore Poly. And currently in my job, I teach communication skills and to help students develop employability skills and to remain versatile in the market. So maybe to the first question, well, it all depends on what you want to do in your life. So I guess there is no right answer. Should it be further education, or should it be to go for a job straight away, or is it to go for an internship? So a lot depends on what you want. So back in my days when I was a ECG counselor, I learned this very simple acronym called WHAT, W-H-A-T. So what do you want? Do you want wealth? W. Do you want health or happiness? H. Do you want to improve your ability? A. or do you want to have more time for yourself? So as you are trying to decide on what you want in your life, I guess you got to decide which of these is an important priority for you right now. So obviously, if wealth is very important, I think you should then go out into a job market and to start searching for jobs that your course of study has equipped you to do. So that would lend yourself to a higher chance of getting a job, especially in this very competitive market. However, if something like you value your ability, right? And you feel that at this stage of your life, you haven't had a chance to go for further studies, and you would like to make use of this time, it's also correct. So I think if you were to speak to your education and career guidance counselor, they would be able to have a more in-depth discussion with you regarding what is your career, what is the pathway that it's present in front of you right now, and which pathway they should take. So there is no right and wrong answer. So I think speaking to a education and career guidance counselor, or maybe even to a career coach, will help you to make that decision. Now, if you are not comfortable with putting your resume online, it's going to be very difficult because nowadays a lot of companies require you to have some kind of online presence. So I think LinkedIn is a very basic place for you to begin with, to start posting your resume and your CV. I think even on my Skills Future portal, you are able to post your resume, and that will allow employers to get in touch with you. So I hope my questions, I've managed to answer the questions that are posed to me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So I think riding on Paul's comment on how we can build our portfolio and our presence, right? I'd like to address the next question to Joya. She's from Republic Poly Year 3 now. So Joya, would you be able to share like what's your key takeaway and learning from your internship with us at Skills Future, and why do you think it's important for poly students, right, to also consider going for internship as they pursue their diploma?
Thank you for your question. One of the core takeaways I learned from my internship experience would be showing your participation and enthusiasm beyond your roles. Like, for example, from my experience, I was attached to the data team, but I was also assigned other works from other teams, such as doing agri-tech work. And also, like, it cultivates a sense of curiosity to learn about other team works, and even working with them on other projects. Then when working with other teams, you also get to learn new skills and their perspective on their role. And why you should apply for internships during your studies, because I feel that internship is a great way to apply the knowledge from the classroom to a real world experience. And learning is one thing, but taking those skills to a workforce and applying them is a great way to explore different career paths and specialization that suit your interests. So with an internship, you are given the opportunity to showcase your talent, commitment, and value to the prospective employer. And furthermore, your employer are more inclined to hire you if you completed an internship in your poly or university. So given these points, an internship is more than crucial for your career. So you should consider applying for an internship so that it will build towards your future. Okay, I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, that's useful. I think now we have quite a few program-related questions. So for the next one, I'll invite Wei Liang to weigh in because it's on the SG traineeship program. So across all the questions, I think some of the more common one is what is the response time I can expect between application and being called for interview by a host company? And also on the company end, are they obliged to show the trainees the development plan? And lastly, if a trainee finds a job during the period of the traineeship, right, are they allowed to leave the traineeship program? So over to you, Wei Liang.
Hi, thank you, Fiona. Just wondering whether everybody can hear me. Yeah. Okay, so just to address the first question. So in fact, it takes about, so currently for SG United traineeships, employers are actually progressively posting them on mycareersfuture.sg since the 1st of June. Yeah, in fact, currently we have more than a few thousand traineeships opportunities that's already available on MCF. So like any typical job search process, right, it typically takes a few weeks, for employers to shortlist potential candidates, interview them before they are being placed into the jobs. Likewise for traineeships, I think it takes can be 1 or 2 months before a trainee is actually successfully matched to a traineeship on a job. I think the second question on development plan, employers are actually obliged to share the development plan together with the training outcomes and development outcomes with the trainees. Yeah. In fact, the development plan actually has a listing of the various development outcomes that we want to achieve through the traineeships. And what in terms of the development goals at each milestone during the duration of the traineeships. So in fact, we want the trainees to also have a sense, because it's going to be quite a long duration, up to 12 months of traineeship, and trainees should be vested in the outcomes as well. As for the third question, sorry, Fiona, can you repeat the third question?
So the third question is for trainee, right? During the period of traineeship, if they find a full-time job, are they allowed to leave the traineeship before the period ends?
Okay, so as there's actually no minimum duration that a trainee needs to stay on a traineeship. As long as the trainee actually finds a suitable job, he or she is actually allowed to leave the traineeship, meaning terminate the traineeship by giving sufficient notice to the host organization. But having said that, we will encourage trainees to consider staying on for the full duration of traineeship, so that they can also benefit from the development plan and also the traineeship outcomes that the host employer has put in place. But then again, if there's a better opportunity that comes along, I don't see any reason why the trainee can't leave the traineeship and go on to the new job. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a useful clarifications for the program as well. So I think similar to traineeship, we also have some common questions for the work-study program. So now I'll move on to Siti. The common questions we got are, what are the usual application period for work-study, post-diploma and degree programs? And who are the employers under the WSP and how are they selected? Siti, would you like to take this question?
Okay, maybe I'll just touch on the employers first. So who are the employers? So basically, partner companies, they must be registered or incorporated, Singapore registered or incorporated. So these companies are selected based on their ability and commitment to providing quality workplace training and meaningful career development opportunities for the participants. So they come from various sectors, which includes both MNCs and SMEs. So students may indicate their preferred employer in their application, but is subject to the hiring and interview process of each employer. Participants may also receive offers from more than one employer and may then select their preferred employer. So as to the earlier question, when is the application dates and also the window to apply, for this, the IHLs will be in a better position to advise. So you can check with the IHLs directly, because it depends and it varies from program to program. So hope that answers your question, Fiona. Thank you.
Yeah, so for people, if you follow-up question, also use the Q&A tab to post your question. And I'm not sure, Jen, do you want to weigh in on this? There's also a question on what kind of advisory programs or counseling programs are available for students or graduates that are from SSG.
Hi, yeah. So like what we have shared already, there are programs that the graduates can look into, the traineeships and work study program. If you need more in-depth consultation to run through what's available, what are the various programs, we do have the skills and training advisory. It's a one-to-one consultation where we will have a skills ambassador to share more with you, walk through with you what are the possibilities from, like, more about understanding yourself, because we also get a lot of young people even after graduations sharing with us that, like, hey, although I graduated from this faculty with specialization in this area, but actually this is not the preferred area that I want to go into, and I'm actually keen on some other areas, or I exactly have no idea. So if you need a more in-depth consultation, you can book an appointment for a one-to-one or with our skills ambassador. So you can go to, again, on My Skills Future portal. So it's myskillsfuture.sg under skills and training advisory to book a session with us, and we will get our skills ambassador to sit down with you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jen. I think the one-to-one advisory will be quite useful because there are a few questions that are quite specific to each individual. So I think the one-to-one session will be useful for you to consider. So like Jen said, you can go to my SF to register for this one-to-one advisory session for yourself. Okay, the next question, perhaps for Alvin. Most of the talks have been on finance. So how do I improve my skills, let's say if I'm into hospitality or the social industry?
Yeah, thanks, Fiona. So I think I want to link back to what was presented earlier about transferable skills, because you know, even in the hospitality sector, in fact, particularly in it, because it's a very human, you know, centric, customer centric service kind of sector. So even more so, when we talk about transferable skills, you know, things like character traits matter, and I can elaborate more. You know, your cognitive abilities. So for example, character traits, things like empathy. You know, if you are in the hospitality line, certainly that has to come up, has to be demonstrable. Things like adaptability, because you may be in situations that, you know, things may happen on the fly. Yeah, so proactivity, for example, you know, if you spot that there are gaps to fill, that you actually actively, you know, work with others to solve the problem. You know, when you see something in operations, for example. So, you know, character traits is key. Other transferable skills, you know, cognitive abilities, digital savviness, and it's transferable because it applies no matter what sector that you go to. So it builds, you know, it's something that when you build this capability, that you can actually make a compelling case if you were to switch to another sector. And then I also mentioned earlier about the workplace traits. So things like organizational acumen, work competence, things that like this, you know, being able to present, being able to communicate well, and you know, taken together, all these traits are things that that you can showcase, you know, just based on the experiential learning that you have done previously. Because I think for fresh grads, obviously, you know, like I mentioned, everyone, you know, you don't have a long track record of applying, let's say, a technical skills. Yeah, so I think employers do realize that, and they do look at transferable skills for the potential of an individual.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alvin. I think as shared during the presentation earlier and among a lot of the speakers, transferable skill is something that we can start to build on and to help improve our employability even as we are going into the various sector. So moving from skills to job, right? For Paul, would you be able to share like how early or prior to graduation do you think one should start applying for job, and how can I prepare myself better for interviews when it's done online during this period?
Well, how early? I have students who are in currently year 3 students in Singapore Poly, and they have already started their job search. All right, so there is no perfect time. I guess it takes time for you to do that career exploration process before you can finally say, yes, this is the kind of job that I want to do. So it's I think during the seminar we did mention something about the competitive job market right now, and there are a lot of people fighting for very limited jobs. So it doesn't mean that if you want to apply for a job today, you're going to get offered tomorrow. So my suggestion is for you to start the process as soon as possible when you are ready. Because if you are not ready for this job application, then you put yourself out there. It's going to be very difficult and very stressful for yourself to do that. Sorry, what's the second question?
I think the second question is on interviews. With interviews now being conducted online, right? How can I better prepare myself for these online interviews?
Well, nowadays, I think many of the students, especially I think in the polytechnics or ITs, they are having their lessons on either Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And I think even for the modules that I'm teaching for communication skills, we're having our assessments online. We're having mock job interviews online. So I think there is no shortcut to say that, oh, maybe I can just watch a video, or maybe I can just read up on tips on how to do well in the online interview. I think you really have to do online interview with somebody. Maybe you can approach one of your tutors in your school, all right, or maybe an ECG counselor who's attached to the polytechnics or the ITEs, to arrange for them to do a mock interview. So what you can do is you can schedule an appointment with the ECG counselor or with your tutor and say that, I've got an upcoming interview. Could I just trouble you to do a trial interview with me, so that I can get used to doing the interview online. So I think practice makes perfect. So that I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I think it does. It never hurts to be ready, to be prepared, and always start early, right? Yeah, so I think because this webinar is for students, right, and I'm mindful of time, perhaps I will direct the last question to the intern, maybe for Ashley. There's someone who is interested in working in the public sector. So how was the experience like for you working in a stat board like Skills Future Singapore?
Hi. So I think that I'm working as a futures office intern in Skills Future, and what my job role includes is basically researching on up and coming sectors and in demand sectors currently, and the different kind of programs that will be involved. So I feel that working in a stat board like Skills Future has really widened my perspectives on through the meetings and the talks and the webinars that I've been going for through this internship, because when we are approaching a certain issue, we have to look at it from a very not only a very broad sense, but also very in-depth and many layers and many levels. So it has really helped to harness this critical thinking skill, which I feel that is a transferable skill. Is something that's very important when it comes in many different jobs. So working in the public sector helps you to understand that each policy or each action that's taken, each program has so many different layers, and that you're like pushed towards having to like just keep thinking more, and exploring more areas and innovating your own ideas. So that's how working under the public sector in Skills Future has really benefited and helped me grow a lot. Yeah. Thank you. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's great to hear, since I'm in the same division as you. So I think now we'll wrap up the Q&A session. There's still quite a lot of questions that we didn't manage to get through, but please allow us some time. We'll go through the questions, and where there are more common ones, we will try and respond to them and send it to you after the webinar as well. So before we wrap up this session, I hope you found this sharing useful. We heard all of you through the survey feedback that we requested for your help to take part in, and some of you shared like your worry and concern about looking for a job during this period. So we hope that through all the speakers and panelists here, we have given you some hope on some of the resources that you can tap on during this period, and also some of the resources you can do on your own to build your employability and to expand your portfolio. So as we wrap up today's session, I would like to invite you to just spend about 3 to 5 minutes filling up this post-webinar survey. You can also include the questions that you want to hear from us inside this post-webinar survey, and we'll try our best to get back to you. So at this point, I also like to thank Alvin and Paul for joining us and giving us the perspective from the Polytechnic and the university. And I would like to thank the rest of the speakers, Wei Liang Banu from Workforce Singapore, Jen and Siti from the Public Engagement Division, and of course our very own interns, Ashley, Joya and Sulin. So for us at SDG, we are conducting webinars every month. So we hope that you'll join us at the next webinar. And in the meantime, do stay safe and do stay healthy and keep your hopes up. Thank you, everyone.